Moving from genre to genre was never really a problem for me at all. I think mainly because I'm a fan of music. I was never that guy that only listened to X style. I enjoyed pop music, I enjoyed heavy metal. It didn't really make a difference to me what I was working on as long as the music was good. I meet like producer engineers and guys who only want to do a certain style of music, and I'm like, that sounds like a bum out. If it's good music, it's fun to work on. It steers the ship. My name is Josh Wilbur, studio workhorse, producer engineer. The first Rage Against the Machine record is probably the album that made me start noticing production. That was the record that I listened to in my car, and I'm like, why does this sound better than everything else I have? When I was in college, I laid out all my records and like flipped them over. Who did all my favorite sounding records? Andy Wallace, Andy Wallace. Where does he work? So a lot of them say Soundtrack in New York City. I'm sending one cover letter and resume to Soundtrack in New York City. And that's how that was like the beginning of everything, is I was just like, I'm gonna meet this guy. I wanted to hear someone's raw tracks, to know if they were starting with the same kind of source that I was starting with. I was mopping floors from midnight till 8 in the morning. The next thing you know, you're the assistant engineer, and then the client comes in and they say, can he engineer for us? And then in process, a dream come true. I ended up meeting Andy and kind of becoming friends with him. And the next thing you know, we were nominated for a Grammy together. It was like for best engineered album. I try to be as flexible as I can to get the best out of the band, really. The studios can change. You try to stick with the things that you're familiar with, you know, like as far as like, I like to work on the same equipment as much as I can. Speaker setups, I like to be the things that I'm always used to listening on. I'm gonna try to make sure they have Genelecs in the studio that I'm going to. Andy Wallace always mixed on the 1031s, and then I kind of started mixing, I was used to it, so I started using 1031s too and kind of stuck with it my whole career. I had the opportunity to work in a different studio. When I went in there, they had the 8351s. I liked them, you know, I kind of listened to some music and I was like, these sound good, these sound real good. And I mixed an album on it, and I was like, this might be the first time that I've worked on speakers other than my 1031s that I'm actually interested in like pursuing. So I wanted to try them out in my studio, and I get some 8351s. So I run the SAM technology, and immediately after running the software, it made it sound exactly like high-end, top-of-the-line design control room. It's super simple. You just plug it in, it'll tone them out, and next thing you know, like, you know, it'll calibrate your room. They sound comfortable. I guess that's a good way for me to describe them. I can listen to them for a really long period of time, which is great, because I'm like a pretty sporadic mixer. Like, I'll go from like super quiet, and then I just want to hear it crank to make sure it's like hitting me right. Ready to bury all of my bones. I'm ready to lie, but say I won't. So tell me a secret, and join me in pieces. Rotting lips caught and made of stone. I'm ready to. Didn't think I would ever leave New York City. And I married this super cool girl that I met in New York from California. And that was the end of New York. I thought sunny California would be a nice place to raise kids. So honestly, it was less career-driven and more just family-driven. And now I'm in California. Super privileged to work with some of these like gigantic names, NSYNC stuff, and like, you know, 3LW, like all these like R&B projects, Korn, Lamb of God, Megadeth. You know, it's just been one little thing led to the next, and just jumping at every opportunity that came my way. The A351s, I don't find myself focusing so much on like a particular trouble spot in my mix anymore. If something's woofing out in a weird way, I can dial right in, because they're showing me exactly what's going on. My entire career has been completely inconsistent genre-wise. The only consistent thing I've had is Genelecs. Makes my listening environment so much better.